Hello, good evening. Welcome to North West Tonight. I'm Roger Johnson. Thank you, as always, for your company. Our top story, a £4 billion transport boost for the region, including a tram line to Stockport and new buses in Liverpool.
We will create the UK's first fully integrated, all-electric, zero-emission public transport system.
Critics say that many of the new projects across England, which were revealed today, were actually first announced by the last Conservative government. We'll have all the details. Also tonight, Liverpool introduces huge fines for fly tipping, littering and dog fouling in a bid to clean up the city. The vicar facing a mutiny among her flock in a row tearing a Cheshire parish apart.
People are very upset and some people have been made ill.
Bringing Bollywood and the West End together in Manchester, the new musical based on India's
a very rainy
longest...
start tomorrow, but turning into something a bit more optimistic by the afternoon. Join me at the end of the programme. I'll have the full forecast for you.
So billions of pounds of funding was announced today for trains, trams and buses in parts of the North West. The Chancellor says that Greater Manchester will receive £2.5 billion for projects including a new tram line to Stockport and extra stops in Bury and Oldham. The Liverpool City region will get £1.6 billion for new buses, giving faster connections to the airport and to the major football grounds. Let's talk to our transport correspondent, Judy Hobson. She's live for us in Stockport. And Judy, this has been a long time coming.
Yes, they've been wanting a tram here for years, but so sure was Stockport that it would get one that in the exchange behind me there is actually space for a tram stop. Well, this is music to the ears of northern leaders. They've been wanting funding for transport links for so long, and today we've heard the money will go to city regions, so not just here in Greater Manchester, but also the Liverpool City region will get money for various projects. Levelling up the economy is at the heart of today's announcement, say the government, as the Chancellor pledged billions for trams, trains and buses across the north. Greater Manchester will receive £2.5 billion to extend the Metrolink network to Stockport and to add stops in Bury, Manchester and Oldham.
Making sure that 90% of Greater Manchester residents will live within a 5-minute walk of a bus or tram that comes at least once every half an hour. And opening up connections for people in Bury, in Haywood, in Rochdale and in Oldham to the tens of thousands of new jobs in the Northern Gateway.
The Mayor, Andy Burnham, called it a game-changing moment for the region, which will underpin Greater Manchester's green growth for years to come.
With the funding provided by the government, we will create the UK's first fully integrated, all-electric, zero-emission public transport system, and we will do that by the end of the decade. It's an incredible vision.
A vision welcomed in Stockport, where the town's new interchange was built with a tram stop in mind.
I suppose it'd be beneficial for a lot of people. It gives different modes of transport for other people, I suppose. I think the bus interchange is ready for it. I think it's needed, and it just means it's going to be so much easier to get around, get into Manchester, that kind of thing.
It'll make it more accessible to get to Manchester instead of back line on trains or buses or stuff like that. It'll now.
Yeah, the bus takes forever, so this will be better.
The Liverpool City region will receive £1.6 billion with faster connections to Liverpool John Lennon Airport, Everton Stadium and Anfield, and a new bus fleet in St Helens and the Wirral next year. There'll also be 3 new Merseyrail stations.
That's the largest investment in transport in Liverpool's history. And don't forget, we were the pioneers of rail. This is huge, and it'll mean that we can improve things for passengers on public transport right the way across the whole of our area.
The Chancellor said there would be news on a possible new rail link between Manchester and Liverpool in next week's spending review. Opposition leaders say now the government must deliver on its promises. Well, we've been here before, haven't we? Money promised for projects and somehow it seems to disappear and it never seems to happen. But the government said today the money is available. It's come from the cancellation of that second leg of HS2, which was supposed to come to Manchester. Next week, the Chancellor is due to announce more funding, and Northern leaders hope that will be for big rail projects, and it's hoped that they could benefit those areas that missed out today, namely Lancashire and Cheshire. So we'll wait and see.
We will wait in more ways than one. Judy, thank you very much indeed. Now, we mentioned this briefly last night. Little outs and fly tippers are facing a crackdown in Liverpool. The City Council there has increased fines for people who don't dispose of their waste properly, with penalties, as we mentioned yesterday, of up to £1,000. Our Merseyside reporter Andy Gill's been out with one of the clean-up crews today.
Rubbish dumped in a Liverpool street and left for the waste removal team to deal with. These crews spend all day travelling around the city to places where the public have reported fly tipping and cleaning it up. The council hopes increased fines will mean less of this.
Sadly, what we've seen over the last few years is an increase in environmental crime across the city, which is, again, sadly mirrored across cities and towns across the country. A lot of that, particularly fly tipping, seems to really mirror the cost of living crisis, so people are increasingly looking at cheaper ways of getting rid of waste.
New national legislation and extra funding has allowed the council to increase fines. So the littering fine goes up from £80 to £150, dog fouling from £80 to £100, graffiti and fly posting from £100 to £200, and fly tipping from £400 to a maximum of £1,000. The new penalties don't apply to large-scale dumping like at this site in Liverpool. They're aimed at getting individuals to behave differently.
It's just really important that we send out that really clear message that we want to clean up our city. There are so many good people in the city doing the right thing, putting their waste out at the right time, but there's always a few people who just, won't play by those rules.
In the last year, Liverpool received 20,000 reports of fly tipping, costing more than £1 million to clear. As well as bigger fines for fly tipping, dog fouling and littering, the council's also going to employ an outside company to patrol the streets, challenge people and give them on-the-spot fines. The council hasn't yet said which company it's appointed, but it's confident it can tackle what could be a confrontational task.
It's a specialist job, not everybody's cut out for it, but the companies that provide these services are very professional, and we have confidence from our procurement process and our dealings with the companies that they have the capacity and professionalism to make a difference.
In surveys, residents put tackling problems like these at the top of their wish list. The new fines come into force next week. Andy Gill, BBC North West Tonight, Liverpool.
Next week, we have been warned. Now, let's take a look at some of the other stories that are making headlines in the North West tonight. And a court on the Isle of Man has heard that 14-year-old Christopher McBurney died after he was stabbed in the chest. Another 14-year-old, who can't be named because of his age, has been charged with murder and appeared by video link at Douglas Courthouse earlier. Greater Manchester Police has seized a so-called ghost gun for the first time while arresting a Bolton drug dealer. A ghost gun is one which is untraceable, has no markings and can be built using a kit. VK Kozia Sumaharo has been jailed for more than 7 years. Liverpool City Council is reviewing its planning for major events after last week's incident at the Premier League title parade, where more than 100 people were injured when a car drove into crowds. Parliament's Public Accounts Committee has warned that the nuclear site at Sellafield in Cumbria could leak radioactive water for the next 25 years at a rate which would fill more than 6 Olympic swimming pools. The silo it's leaking from is said to be the UK's most dangerous building. Blackpool Tower has been brought back under council control today. It's been operated by Merlin Entertainments on behalf of the council since 2010. It will now be run by a newly expanded council body called Blackpool Tourism Limited, which will also take over other attractions in the town, including Madame Tussauds. Now, an unholy dispute has broken out in a Cheshire village, which has seen claims of unchristian actions and some saying it's made them ill. Parishioners in Malpas have been rowing with their rector. The police have been called and flyers have been stuck to Chester Cathedral to try to get the bishop to intervene. Phil McCann has the story.
Malpas, population not much over 1,500, on the southern tip of Cheshire, looking out to Shropshire. You might think it's peaceful. It looks it, but
people are very upset, and some people have been made ill.
You might think it's very much an internal problem, but it has had repercussions for the whole community.
I think they're really upset that she's gone in, what she's done.
St Oswald's has stood atop a hill in the centre of this small town since the 15th century. But for the last 3 years, it's been at the centre of a huge row after the appointment in 2023 of Reverend Dr Janine Arnott as rector in a village where, like many, the church has always played a huge role.
They used to do loads of things, and a lot of people used to get involved in the community.
Old school, not very happy. New school. Villages do need to change.
I know people who worship now at Bickley now, people who worship at Tutchingham.
And why have they done that?
Well, they don't like the rector.
It all started with apparent disagreements about prayers and readings. But eventually, the bell ringers stopped ringing the bells over allegations about the way the rector was treating some people. And for the same reason, the choir stopped singing. Leanne was in the choir, but she claims she was asked to step down after criticising what she called the rector's authoritarian leadership and attempting to publish critical minutes of a church council meeting. In recent weeks, the row culminated in leaflets being stuck to Chester Cathedral for the attention of the Bishop of Chester, outlining a range of grievances about the rector. Bishop Mark Tanner reportedly responded by writing a letter. The Whitchurch Herald reported that in that letter he said that those leaflets about St Oswald's here were anonymous, factually inaccurate, libellous, and that he warned the impact of attracting future clergy to serve here in the village would be devastating. The letter reportedly went on to say that some of those opposed to the rector were guilty of unlawful and inexcusable harassment.
It's certainly un-Christian to at this stage, when everybody's been trying to knock on his door and tell him to turn around and say, now you're going to be responsible for the fact that there's no money in the church, you're responsible for the fact that I've had to call in the police.
In a statement, the Diocese of Chester said the bishop has been engaging with the concerns through the proper channels. All are encouraged to remain in conversation, they say. Cheshire Police say they've received reports of harassment. The rector herself told me she couldn't comment. Phil McCann, BBC North West Tonight, Malpas, Cheshire.
Right, let's take a look at some of the other stories that people are reading this evening from BBC News. And new research in Liverpool shows that heart patients who have a negative attitude about their condition have an increased risk of dying or suffering a heart attack. You can also look at the mysterious minions which are appearing beneath a bridge in Burnley. Residents say they bring a smile, but National Highways say that they could affect inspections. And racing was again disrupted today at the Isle of Man TT due to heavy rain. It is, though, the racing set to continue on Friday. Molly with the forecast shortly. You can read all those stories and many more at bbc.co.uk/local news, or, of course, as always, on the BBC News app. Now, back in the 1960s, the Brockhole Centre on Windermere was the first national park visitor centre in the country, not to be confused with the Brockholes Nature Reserve near Preston. But there are concerns for the Lake District Brockhole, with the site up for lease. Government cuts have been partly blamed for redundancies and the decision to offload management of the site after more than half a century. Phil Chapman has the story.
Millions of people have enjoyed the great outdoors at the Brockhole Visitor Centre on Windermere since it opened in 1969. But reduced government funding has resulted in redundancies for the national park and the closure of the main White House at the centre of the site. Tenant attractions there like Zip World, lake cruises and the many activities on and off the water are still operating this summer. But with the whole site up for lease, there are some concerns locally about what the long-term future might bring.
We know that government cuts over the last few years by this government and previous governments mean that in real terms, over the last 15 years or so, this place, the National Park, has experienced 53% cuts in their funding, and it's not sustainable. It's really easy to turn away and think, well, this is the way things are, but actually it's not good enough. This is the only visitor centre in Cumbria.
The Lake District National Park's chief executive has said, "We are currently forecast to make a significant loss. This is simply not sustainable and risks our ability to deliver other services across the national park. We remain committed to providing long-term public access to the grounds and are confident a new operator will continue to provide a fantastic Lake District experience." And whoever takes on the lease will no doubt realise it's more than just a visitor centre. It's described as a magnet, bringing people and their spending power for other, smaller tourism businesses nearby.
I think it'd be a great loss if we lost it. It's always been a magnet for tourists here. It's, you know, generated a lot of income for the area.
It would be a shame for it to stand empty and nothing happened. They come to the shell shop, they go for a sail on the lake, they go to Brockhole, and then they come back to the shell shop at the end of the day and buy some gifts to take home.
It'd be a massive shame for the area, especially for like locals to lose it and things like take our kids there. There's not many places for the kids to go, really.
The estate agent looking after the marketing of the lease describes it as a unique and exciting opportunity for an experienced third party to develop existing and new visitor enterprises. Expressions of interest are said to have been received already, with proposals to be considered by authority members later this year. Well, the particulars for the lease of the Brockhole Visitor Centre across the water there read slightly differently from the average household lease, and they mention that in 1969 it opened as the UK's first national park visitor centre and attracts around 210,000 visitors from across the country and from around the world every year. And certainly it seems people and businesses from around here would want that to continue for decades to come. Phil Chapman, BBC North West Today, Windermere.
Now, over the years, we have reported countless times on the exploits of Michael Cullen. Who, you might ask? Well, if I give him his alter ego, you'll know exactly who I mean. Here he is, Speedo Mick. He's turned heads, of course, across the country on his charity walks, as you can see, wearing nothing but his Everton swimming trunks. And a musical about Mick's life, from fundraising to struggling with addiction, opens tonight at Liverpool's Royal Court Theatre, as Jane McCubbin has been finding out.
If anybody had grabbed you by the shoulders 24 years ago and said, you're going to walk up and down the country in your pants with your beloved football club emblazoned on your backside, you're going to raise £1 million for charity, and one day they're going to write a musical about you.
I wouldn't have believed it for 1 second. No, none of that.
Welcome to the new stadium.
The Taj Mahal of Liverpool.
We've brought the man behind the bottom, behind the story, to Everton's brand new stadium.
Gets me emotional, that, you know. That's just got me emotional.
As transformations go, it is all pretty impressive. 24 years ago, Michael Cullen, aka Speedo Mick, was homeless and addicted to drugs. This week, the musical about his life opens in Liverpool.
It's about survival.
It was about survival. Now it's about living. It's a story of hope.
Get off, get out, hold on, your goose, you'll never walk homes.
Where does the story start?
Well, the story starts when I was basically trying to get clean. There was nothing to live for, you know. There wasn't anything to live for. And that's how bad it gets with addiction and mental health.
All right, here we are, we're on Ben Nevis.
He replaced addiction with extreme challenges. Wearing only his pants in the coldest of winters, the harshest of terrains. This became his life for a while, as well as raising over £1 million for charity.
Thanks, man, honestly.
The walks gave him exhilaration.
And he's back now in his home city.
Love, support.
Just empty the purse.
But when they ended, his mental health crashed. He had a breakdown and ended up in hospital.
I haven't managed to look after myself, and I needed a little bit of help around it, to be honest, but I just tried to work it out myself. And you cannot work mental health out. You've got to get some help. You've got to reach out. You've got to get a different perspective for you to change yours. And I wasn't doing that.
I'm Michael. I'm an addict. I'm 23 years clean and sober.
For you, it kind of stopped when you finished the walk, kind of thing.
But you have to think that your story is just out there.
It's
and even
there,
this
yeah.
musical is part of that story. It's just carrying on. Everybody's going through it. Everybody's been through it. Everyone knows what it is in some way.
What's it going to be like? Sitting in the audience, watching the whole of your life swim before your eyes.
Well, it's going to be really, really emotional. It's been one hell of a journey, you know.
It isn't over yet.
No, it's not. It's not. And there's a lot to look forward to. It really has, but it's been one hell of a journey.
You'll never walk on a company.
There you go, Speedo Mick. The musical's open for a month and it starts tonight at the Royal Court in Liverpool. A couple of quick bits of sports news for you. Football's end-of-season transfer window is open and Manchester City have agreed the £46 million signing of the Netherlands midfielder Tijjani Reinders from AC Milan. Apologies for the Dutch pronunciation, it's probably wrong. The 26-year-old set to sign a 5-year contract at the Etihad. In cricket, there's a T20 Blast double-header at Emirates Old Trafford this evening. The Lancashire Thunder's women were beaten by Hampshire by 8 wickets earlier. Meanwhile, the men have just started their game against Leicestershire. Lancs have made a 100% start in the North Group, winning their first 3 matches. They're batting and are 51 for 2 after 5 overs. Now, we've got more musicals for you. It's musical night tonight, isn't it? Bollywood glamour and West End glitz are being brought together on stage in Manchester. A musical which is called Come Fall in Love has been adapted from India's longest-running blockbuster movie. And it's getting its premiere at the Opera House. And the cast recently received a surprise visit from the megastar lead in the original movie. There he is behind us. Phil Cunliffe has this report.
It is the iconic Bollywood movie. Affectionately known as DDLJ, this Hindi romantic comedy, released exactly 30 years ago, captured the hearts of millions around the world. And now in Manchester, there's an invitation to come fall in love with the story all over again.
18 new songs written by Vishal and Shekhar. It's got all the nostalgia from the original film that people love, but also it's new and fresh.
The story is about a young British-Indian woman called Simran who is preparing for an arranged marriage in India. Before embracing her fate, she sets off on a European journey where she meets Roger, a charming British man.
She is just taken in a completely different direction to what she thought and experiences love for the first time. And then, yeah, the story unfolds, doesn't it? Anything to add?
Well done. No, that was very well done. Yeah, so Act 1, we are in England, Oxford, and Europe. And then we spend Act 2 in India. Derek's sets are unbelievable. So you really get a taste of two such different cultures really coming together.
Local actor Irvin Iqbal plays the part of Simran's dad, who disapproves of his daughter's relationship.
Started my theatre career in Bolton, at Bolton Little Theatre. That kind of evolved to Oldham after that. But yeah, local lad, you know, I think if it wasn't for those kind of grassroots theatre schools in Bolton, I don't think I'd be here today.
Ahead of tonight's opening night, the cast were given a boost when the star of the movie, Shah Rukh Khan, made a surprise visit during rehearsals. Khan is a global phenomenon.
He was beyond lovely, so graceful, and just like he wanted to see more. We kind of showed him like a little taster, one section of the show, and then he was like, "Let's see more."
Yeah, he was just so generous with his time coming into rehearsals and meeting everyone. And yeah, it was unforgettable moment. Yeah, it was really cool.
Come Fall in Love is one of a number of brand new musicals to recently get their premiere in Manchester.
We call them the Manchester Gets It First musicals because they're coming to Manchester before the West End, before anywhere else in the country, sometimes before anywhere else in the world. And Manchester's such a creative city, so it's really exciting to be able to play our part in that creative ecology by creating work that's new for Manchester audiences for the very first time.
I think now, in 2025, it's still resonant. There's a lot of people who are second generation, South Asian, third generation, who will see the show, and some of the themes in the show will definitely resonate.
You can see the production at the Opera House until the 21st of June. Phil Cunliffe, BBC North West Tonight, Manchester.
Bloke called Roger in a musical, a charming British man. There aren't many of us left. Roger, I mean, plenty of charming British men. Molly.
You are a charming British
thank
man.
you very much. Sorry, I didn't pause there waiting for you to say anything.
Yes.
I was going to say, how's the weather looking? And it's been a mixed bag, hasn't it?
Bit of a mixed bag today. I mean, the theme of the day is sunshine and showers, and that is going to be the case as we head into the rest of the week too. So should we take a look at your photos from today? Because it was a lovely start in Eccleston. Thank you, Out and About, for sending that photo in. But, as you mentioned, that is a cumulonimbus cloud, so they produce rain and a rumble of thunder every now and again. Thank you very much for sending that photo in too. In terms of the rest of the week and tomorrow, we are going to see a very dull, wet start tomorrow, but it will turn a little bit drier and brighter as we head into the afternoon. So this is the bigger picture then. So you can see we have low pressure above the UK. We're going to have a weather front come in this evening and overnight. So over the next 48 hours, it is going to be pretty rainy and soggy, but those isobars starting to loosen as we head towards the weekend. So it is going to get a lot less windy than it has been. In terms of tonight, this evening, it is going to stay dry, but you can see that rain will start to pep up as we head into the early hours. Temperature-wise, we're looking at an average temperature of around 11 degrees Celsius, which is pretty mild for this time of year. And then we have that front coming in tomorrow, so many of us waking up to heavy rain tomorrow. And those greens there, that indicates thunderstorms, so we could have a rumble of thunder. But as we head into the afternoon, actually that band of rain will turn into showers, and it should be a pretty decent end to the day. So we're looking at an average temperature of around 16 degrees Celsius, and we could even have some late evening sunshine on Thursday. Friday, a bit of a mixed bag, so we will have some showers in the morning. They won't affect everyone, but we should get some sunshine on Friday and much more dry weather. Similar temperatures though, around 16 degrees Celsius. But sunshine and showers, as I mentioned, bit of thunder again on Saturday, Roger.
A real mixed bag, as you said.
Mixed bag.
Yeah, although we do need the water, don't we?
We do.
Without a doubt.
We do.
Molly, thank you very much indeed. That's it from us for this evening. Steve Saul's got the late news. He'll be here with you at 10:30. You'll be back with the weather as well.
I will.
Good. In the meantime, thank you for watching. Have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.
Good night.